Hello friends, in the series of C programming we are discussing control structure of C programming. Now in previous video we discussed what is while loop, what is do while loop. Now here in this video we are going to discuss what is the main differentiate between while and do while loop with the example. So let's start. Before discussing the differentiate between while loop and do while, let it understand with one example. So in this program, this is the example of the while loop. So here I is equal to 0, that is this is one of the variable I. Now inside this while, the condition is I greater than 0, printf %I minus minus. Now we know that while loop is executed only once. Simply if this condition becomes the true, then only this while loop is going to execute. Now in this case I is equal to 0 and I greater than 0. Now we know that this condition is the false, and there is, if this condition is the false, the loop is not going to execute. It directly come the control outside the loop. So let first run this program. So here you can see we didn't get any output because this condition is not true. This is a false because I is greater than 0 is the false and it come outside the loop. Now we'll take one more example of the do while loop. Now here in this do while loop, the same program I printed, but I apply the do, that is I is equal to 0, printf %I minus minus, and at the bottom I put the condition I greater than 0. So this is the syntax of do while loop. Now here we inside this do, it will going to execute this loop because at the starting there is no condition. Now it printed %I, that is it printed I is equal to 0 and I is decremented. So value of I becomes the -1. Now after decrementing, it check the condition and it execute this loop. Now after execution, while loop is going to check at the end and -1 is greater than 0, then this condition becomes the false. So it print only the value of I, that is the 0. Now it check the condition at the bottom. If the condition is the false, will get it will never enter into the do loop and it will terminate the program. So let's run this program. So here we'll get output. So here we'll get output only 0 because in do will print only value of I 0. So if we want to write a program to return at least once execution or to enter 0, we can use the do while loop. But we can use, at least we want one output, then so let's differentiate between while loop and do while loop. Now in while loop, the condition is tested before any statement is executed. That is at the first or at the starting only we are going to check the condition. We discuss into the program also. Now in do while loop, the statement is executed at least once. That is it printed only once output, that is the do execution or do loop is executed at least once, even the condition is the false. Now the second difference is it is an entry control loop. Because why it is entry? Because at the starting only we put the while condition. If the while condition is the true, then only it's going to enter into the loop. Now it is an exist control loop because at the bottom it's going to check the condition. Now if this at the last or at the bottom if the condition is the false, it will exist the loop. Now syntax is while and condition and statement. Now here the syntax, that is do execution loop, and at the bottom we are going to check the condition or while condition. Now next difference is while loop may or may not be executed at all. That is while loop cannot give the any output, but do while loop will execute at least once. That is, inside this do while loop we have this execute, first of all this going to execute this loop, and then at the last or at the bottom it going to check the condition. If this condition is the false, it will never it will stop to working the program. So we do not need to add semicolon at the end of the while loop condition. So at the starting only, here we are not applying any semicolon, but here we have to write the semicolon, because if we written semicolon here, then if the while condition is the true, then these conditions or this while loop is going to execute at infinite, because every statement is going to check every time, and this loop is going to infinite step. That's why we don't need to put the semicolon here. But after execution do a statement or do loop, while it check the condition, and if this is false, it will going to stop. So at the bottom, where at the last we're going to check the, or we're going to write add a semicolon at the end of while condition. So these are on the basic difference of while and do while loop. Now in next video we're going to discuss what is switch statement.